Welcome back to Seattle. Cloudy skies, 64 degrees as we get ready for the first pitch of this best-of-3 series between Alabama from the SEC and Washington from the Pac-12. Alabama winning the national title in 2012, Washington in 2009. And for this Washington team that has a lot of veteran players, it's a freshman that leads them in the circle here tonight.
Yeah, and Gabby Plain, like I said, has really stepped up. She throws in the mid-60s. She's going to change the plane of the batter's eye with a rise ball and a drop ball, a true drop that goes down in the zone, so it promotes more ground balls. And the more she misses, the more it needs to stay low in that zone.
Plain on the run, as Jenny mentioned a moment ago, over these last 6 games, a 6-game winning streak for Washington. Washington winning the regional here at Husky Softball Stadium in 3 straight games. Alabama made it 37 straight wins in the regional round when they had a clean sweep in the Tuscaloosa region. As we get a look at the starting lineup for Alabama, brought to you by Capital One, and what a spark plug at the top. Alyssa Brown, the sophomore center fielder who is 4 for 7 in the regional with 5 runs scored, getting set to try to set the table, and she's followed close behind by Demi Turner, the second baseman wearing number 2, a senior. So a lot of grit, a lot of speed at the top of the lineup for this Alabama team.
Yeah, and it's so important for them to get on. The top 4 in this lineup, Eric, are the ones that really set the tone, and if they do a good job at the top, the bottom tends to battle through it. But it starts here with Alyssa Brown.
We are ready for the Seattle Super Regional. A spot in Oklahoma City on the line here. And the first pitch from Gabby Plain. Misses for ball 1. Chris Neighbors has balls and strikes. Aaron Peterson, Ron Burkhart, the umpires on the bases. 3:57 now in the season for Brown. Two and 0. Brown, once she gets on base, according to head coach Patrick Murphy, she has the green lights, and she usually rewards her head coach. 30 of 34 when it comes to stolen bases on the season.
That's a girl that's potentially the fastest player in Alabama history. That is dangerous if she gets on the base path.
Plain gets her first strike. So as you watch this freshman in her first 3 deliveries, what jumps out to you?
I think a little bit of tightness, quite honestly. Getting behind of Alyssa Brown is not how you want to handle it. You don't want to give her a pitch better than what she needs to see, but a good strike that last pitch.
2-1. Slap just foul, and the count evens up at 2-2. Taylor Van Zee and Sis Bates make up the left side of that infield for Washington, and they are outstanding. This is a great defensive team for Washington. Fielding percentage at 98 on the season. That's 4th in the NCAA, and it's anchored by that left side. And they are nonstop energy and talking on that left side as well. 2-2.
And that's typically where Plain is going to miss, low in the zone. So if you're Alabama and you want to work the count, you understand where that pitch is going. If it starts at the knees, chances are that it's going to drop lower. Good heads up by Alyssa Brown to lay off of that low pitch.
3-2. Swing and a miss, and the freshman from Harrington Park, Australia, starts the Super Regional with a strikeout.
The thing with Gabby Plain is that she has very heavy spins, so that means that the ball is going to jump a little bit more. For these batters, these Alabama batters, as they go 1 through 9, the first time through that lineup, a lot of that is just adjusting to the spin that Gabby Plain has, the movement of that, and then they can catch up, make adjustments second time through the lineup.
Here's Demi Turner, the senior second baseman. Back up the middle, and Plain grabs it, 2 down. Now there's a smile. Put one away like that on a comebacker, it'll look at your heart race in a second, but it'll also help you relax a little bit to get the 2 quick outs.
Exactly, and 2 quick outs that were necessary. Brown and Turner to keep them off the base path with Tau up. something you definitely need to do. You should be able to breathe a little bit better if you're playing.
Kaylee Tao, the right fielder, steps in at 340. Strike one. Tao from Madisonville, Kentucky. First team all-conference selection. Outstanding first year in Tuscaloosa. 11 home runs, 31 runs batted in. Grabs the corner, it's 0-2.
And this is where play needs to live. Get ahead of these Alabama batters. Take it. If they're not going to be aggressive at this first pitch swing, go right at them, spin the ball, and get the outs. Let your defense do the work. You said it, Eric. This defense is so good.
Big crowd, vocal crowd. You can tell they're into it. They've been into it since they opened up the gates here in Seattle, turning out to see if they can send their Huskies on to Oklahoma City. Plane misses inside.
Those last two pitches, though, really great pitchers' pitches. Low in the zone, dropping further. If you can get these Alabama hitters to fish for it, you're going to get a lot of ground outs. That is what Plain wants to do, but Alabama's showing a lot of discipline so far.
Ground ball to second base. On to Kirsten Thomas to retire the side. A 1-2-3 first inning for freshman Gabby Plain. Washington coming up. Welcome back to Seattle, getting ready for the home half of the first inning. And Alexis Osorio will be in the circle for Alabama. She is one of the very best in the country.
Yes, and she's been so good for this Alabama defense throughout her 4 years. Throws in the mid-60s. She's got that rise ball and a curve ball. The movement is the key. She gets strikeouts, but relies heavily on the movement of her pitches to do so.
Take a look at the Capital One starting lineup for Washington. Senior Taylor Van Zee getting ready to get things going. Sis Bates is hitting a little bit better than 400 on the season. Had a great regional, as did Julia DuPont. Top of this Washington lineup, 1, 2, 3, really good. And there's been a couple of little bit of subtle moves in the bottom half of the lineup by head coach Heather Tarr that we'll take you through. With Amira Malloy, the designated player, batting 7th. First pitch from Osorio. Misses for ball 1. Van Zee 4 for 8 in the regional here in Seattle with 4 walks. Simply put, she was on base nonstop in those 3 games. Bottom half of the first inning here in Seattle, Husky Softball Stadium. Game 1 of the Seattle Super Regional between Washington and Alabama. Eric Freed, Jenny Ritter, and our crew here in Seattle. 1, 2, 3 first inning at the plate for Alabama against freshman Gabby Plain. Senior Alexis Osorio in the circle for Alabama, and a great start for Taylor Van Zee in the gap in right center field, and Van Zee slides in with a leadoff double for Washington.
Look at the energy that Van Zee brings both to her team and these fans. Such a home base as she drives this ball into a gap, finds a pitch she likes, and sets the tone offensively. Look at that energy that she brings.
Hitting better than .360 on the season for the 3rd year in a row. First team all Pac-12 selection, and that does get Washington started. And now Bates tries to lay down a bunt, but pops it up to Bailey Hemphill, 1 down.
And execution is key on those. When you're trying to put a sac bunt down, you're talking about a hitter that's .402 on the season. She's got to get that bunt down, try to advance Van Zee, push this run across, get them 60 feet from scoring with the heart of your lineup coming up. And a good pitch by Osorio to get her to pop up.
Here's one of the seniors that's provided great leadership for this Washington team that spent 9 weeks at #1 in the country, got off to a great start, undefeated at 28-0. They come into this tournament, the #5 seed, Julia DuPont. Julia 4 for 9 in the regional with 4 runs batted in. She's got good pop, 14 home runs this season, 32 in her career. Van Zee with a leadoff double, 1 down. Osorio has postseason experience and plenty of it. Eighth appearance in a super regional. She's 5-2 with a 1.22 ERA. She beat Washington back in 2016. Swing and a miss from DuPont.
And that's that rise ball. If you can keep it belt high if you're Osorio and have it jump, the Huskies have to be aggressive at that because it can jump just to the top of that strike zone and be a called strike. That one just jumping over DuPont's bat.
Goes up top for the strikeout, 2 down.
And when you see DuPont fishing for a rise ball the previous pitch, what do? You work the ladder, bring it higher up in the zone. DuPont was unable to lay off a beautiful rising pitch there.
220th strikeout this season for the senior, working her 161st inning. Kirsten Thomas showed bunt, pulled it back, and took ball 1. Thomas at first base, leading the team with 53 runs batted in, third, tied for third in the conference this year. Brought in 3 runs during the regional. No trouble catching up to that heat. It's 1-1.
We talked to Coach Murphy and kind of asked about the Husky offense in terms of how they were going to handle it defensively for Alabama. And Coach Murphy, the first thing he said was, well, we know Kirsten Thomas can hit. That was something that they were definitely respecting, that you have to respect and be careful about how you throw her. You're seeing Osorio, though, tagging that zone with that rise ball, belt high. And these Washington hitters staying aggressive at it, but not catching up to it.
One-two to Thomas. Lays off, it's 2-2. Thomas with 12 home runs on the season. Washington did not hit a home run in the regional here last week. 56 as a team. Osorio battles back and smiling as she leaves the circle. Gave up the leadoff double, but it didn't hurt her. Scoreless after 1. Well, I know you've been wondering, Jenny, do unicorns exist? They do here in Seattle. The softball team has adopted this motto, searching for unicorns this year, and the rowing team got wind of it. So they went out. I guess you can find it on Amazon. Of course, Amazon here in Seattle, so you can find whatever you want here. They got this big, giant, inflatable unicorn and brought it out into Lake Washington. I hope they took turns blowing that thing up because I would pass out. But that was their way of paying tribute to the softball team and wishing them luck, because the rowing teams, #1 in the country, heading out to Jersey for the Nationals. So this unicorn vibe that we talked with Heather Tarr about, I'm like, yeah, they're unique players. Everybody's got their own style, and this is a great group to be around. It is kind of unique to have that. So that's the unicorn thing, and the rowing team took it to the next step.
And you know, the talk was just the camaraderie, the way they play, the work ethic that they have. It doesn't always happen that way. And that's why, like you said, the unicorns just kind of step up, and give a lot of credit to the rowing teams that found that unicorn, brought that support. This is a big deal for Washington athletics, of course, and for the softball team as well.
Here's Bailey Hemphill. Takes a ball. It's 2-0 from Gabby Plain. I know if they weren't heading out to Nationals in New Jersey, they would be out in Union Bay on that big inflatable, rooting on the team here in Seattle. But they have business to tend to on the East Coast. 2-0 to the dangerous Hemphill. 3-0. Now here's someone who's hitting .350 with 13 home runs, 48 runs batted in, was 4 for 6 with 5 runs batted in the regional, home run and a double. Does she have the green light? 3-0. If anybody does, it's the cleanup hitter for Alabama.
I think you keep it low on her. If you keep it low, your chances are the best.
Low and inside, catches the corner for strike one.
Yeah, if you can live there and keep it low in that zone, that's where you want to be. And I know you talked about Bailey Hemphill's 300-plus average, but I'm more worried about her 588 in the last 9-game average. She has been able to connect with the ball so consistently.
3-1. Fouled it off, and the count runs full, 3-2. So Bailey Hemphill was out with an injury that Jenny talked about. So how is she dealing with this plantar fasciitis? You mix and match your footwear.
One turf shoe, you see it on the right side. On her left foot, the cleat. Coach Murphy says that's what she's going to have to do for the rest of her career based on how she's been hitting since she's been doing it.
Even if she feels good, she's hitting well with that combination, so he won't let her take it off. 3-2.
At this point in the season, any superstition that you have is good superstition, and you do what you have to advance.
Hemphill's on base percentage now over 500 for the season. She lays off, and she's aboard with a leadoff walk as she heads to first. We headed to the studio, and here's Molly McGrath.
Now batting for the Alabama Crimson Tide, number 54, Reagan Dykes.
Molly and Kayla, thanks very much. Here in Seattle, leadoff runner aboard. First base runner of the game for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And with that foot injury, KB Sides will come on to run for Hemphill. Reagan Dykes, the catcher, will step in. Dykes moved up from the 6th spot in the batting order by head coach Pat Murphy. Said she's been hitting the ball hard. Had a great batting practice session yesterday when Alabama got here for practice at UW. And it comes inside, and she's hit by the pitch. So the first two are aboard for Alabama here in the second. So Dykes, the number 5 hitter, gets aboard. Here's the number 6 hitter, Gabby Calloway. And if Alabama is going to advance onto the College World Series, they're going to need contributions from the second half of this lineup. And that's where we are right now in the batting order.
Yeah, and I tell you what, you see that 194 average, they have to search for something. They have to contribute in some sort of way. And I think you see that as a common trend when it comes to championship programs. Teams that make it all the way to the national championship are there because the bottom of their lineup shows up the same way the top of the lineup, as you would expect, do show up. The bottom has to show up as well.
Now batting for Alabama will be number 15, Gabby Calloway.
Calloway was 1 for 4 in the regional, 311 on the season. Opportunity here for Alabama after going 1-2-3 in the first. Sides at second, Dykes at first. And the first pitch to Calloway. Pulls back the bunt for ball 1. Lance Galasso, the pitching coach, just came out a moment ago just to calm down and bring the team together inside the circle. When you have a freshman in the circle and a trip to the College World Series is on the line, you're going to have these moments like we're facing right now here for Washington in the second inning.
And you're absolutely right, Eric, when you talk about just putting runners on base. You're talking about a freshman pitcher, but that's pressure for any kind of pitcher. You're in an important game. Everybody knows winning this first one of a series is so important, and you have to make sure that you step up and find a way to do it. Now for Alabama, for Callaway to get this bunt down, execution is key with runners on base, and it has to be done here.
Plays the bunt down in front. This will work. The sacrifice is successful. The runners advance, 1 down.
And we saw Sis Bates in the previous inning not get it down for Washington, but Callaway, beautiful bunt here, well executed defensively as the corners crashed for the Huskies. Callaway did what she needed to do, 2 runners in scoring position.
For Mara Schroeder, the left fielder at 274 on the season with 4 home runs. That 4th home run was in the regional clincher against Oregon State for Alabama. Junior from Houston takes ball 1.
And when we talked with Coach Murphy about the bottom of that lineup, this is one player that he really kind of stepped up and said, hey, Schroeder's got a lot of pop. She can do great things for us. It's just about the consistency. And this, no time better than the present to have a consistent and a good at bat.
One. 14th meeting all time between Washington and Alabama. 3rd time they're meeting this year in March. It was a sweep for the Huskies, 8-0 run rule game and 4-1. Fouled away by Schroeder, and she's down to the count 1-2. Gabby Plain making her 7th consecutive start. She's 6-0 with a .42 ERA, but in a jam here in the second. 1-2. Fouled out of play. Women's College World Series returning to Oklahoma City. The action begins on Thursday, noon Eastern, live on ESPN. For more information on the Women's College World Series, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Another 1-2 from Gabby Plain.
Gabby Plain missing too much on that corner. And again, Plain just a freshman, but when you see the bottom of this lineup struggle for Alabama, that's something you want to attack. She gets ahead on Schroeder, but as soon as Schroeder starts battling off, fouling it off, then you see Plain moving a little bit further out in the zone. A good mix of pitches. Now a chance to bring it back in the zone and try to get Schroeder to expand the strike zone on a swing.
Ground ball to second. The play comes to the plate. The tag is in time. Sides is cut down, 2 away. Outstanding defense. This Washington team doesn't beat themselves. Atlee at second, throwing to the freshman Helm behind the plate, who had the tag.
And Sides going on the swing, but Atlee was playing shallow. As soon as she made that play, she fired the throw at home. As you saw Sides going, as soon as she saw the hit, but she was dead out. Atlee did not have to make a very far throw and made a beautiful on-target one.
Credit to Atlee, too, throwing it to the proper side of the plate with the left-handed catcher in there as well. That's a little different element, but as freshman Emma Helm has stepped right in. You got a freshman battery out there right now. Runners going, and Helm will hold it. So 2nd and 3rd again, but this time with 2 outs for Alabama.
Well, to give Alabama credit for being aggressive, I think you have to. Again, now you have 2 runners in scoring position. You have an additional out, but you've got to take your chances. However, this Husky defense is prepared. They moved their defense in when they had to. They executed beautifully, and that's why they got that out.
Senior Sydney Booker. Oh, 0-2 to Booker from Madison, Alabama. 5 home runs on the season, 22 runs batted in. Big spot here for freshman Gabby Plain. Second and third, 2 down. Out of play. Hemphill led off with a walk. Dykes was hit by a pitch. Callaway with a sacrifice. And then Atley to Helm cut down the runner at the plate. Ground ball, fair ball down the line. 2 runs will score for Alabama. Booker digging for second, and she's in with a 2-out double. That brings in 2 for the Crimson Tide.
And timely hitting, we talked about it, Eric, the bottom of that lineup showing up. How about Booker turning on a pitch, driving it down the left side of the field? 2 were able to score, and just a beautiful execution. You see the excitement. You wonder why Alabama being aggressive, they have an opportunity to put 2 more runners in scoring position, even though they did not get that first one across the plate. It did not matter when timely hitting comes through.
Ground ball to short. Bates on to first, and Claire Jenkins is retired. But on an 0-2 pitch, Sydney Booker comes through for Alabama. The senior delivers, and the Tide scores first. 1.5 complete here in Seattle. Good start for Alabama, trying to make it back to Oklahoma City. They lead 2-0 after this key hit.
Yeah, and Booker just fired this down the left field line, was able to score. Dykes and Schroeder from second and third. You see the excitement as Bama's able to get on the board first.
Well, Gabby Plain brought in that ridiculous .42 earned run average. And had pitched well against Alabama, but that's the first run she's given up against Alabama in the 3rd meeting this year between these 2 teams. Taryn Alvello is available. She's been battling back from an injury. We talked to Heather Tarr about it, said she's fine, but when you have a pitcher like Gabby Plain, who's won 6 in a row, is pitching very well, and Alvello is battling back from injury, we'll see Alvello at some point. More of a situational setup right now for Washington.
Right, I think there's a lot of game left too. I mean, I think if you're Coach Heather Tarr, you're not worried about the fact that you're down 2-0 right now. You've got a strong offense. You've been on fire, like you said. Gabby Plain pitches well. Maybe has a little bit of jitters as she brings her pitches too far into the zone on that one that Booker did hit. With the hit by pitch and the walk, sometimes a little bit of control, you can see the jitters. But as that calms down, this is a team that is capable of scoring a couple runs, no problem.
Emma Helm takes strike 3. Osorio 3 straight strikeouts as she settled down after giving up the leadoff double to Van Zee. 1 down for Washington in the second. Well, here's what you can see on ESPNW.com this week, why Wahoo matters in the Sooners' 3-peat bid, and they got off to a good start today, taking down Arkansas. Rachel Garcia got off to a good start in her Super Regional, named the ESPNW Player of the Week. News, analysis, highlights, and much more. What a big weekend in softball. 8 Super Regional sites. Everybody playing here today, everybody playing at different times thanks to the weather, which we're thankful for 64 and cloudy here in Seattle, trust us. Tristan Melhart takes ball 1. Senior 333 was 3 for 7 in the regional.
And Melhart, a true slapper.
Slaps head to third. Jenkins over to Hemphill at first, 2 down. That'll bring up Amira Malloy in the DP slot at 322 on the season. And if you're maybe just joining softball, that name, that number should be familiar, especially when you think about Washington athletics. First pitch to Malloy, misses for ball 1. Swing and a miss. Malloy's down on the count now, 0-2. Well, Lawyer Malloy, two-sports standout here in Seattle. Played baseball, played football. Chose the football path, worked out pretty well for him as he won a Super Bowl with the New England Patriots during the rookie year for some guy named Tom Brady who's still playing. I just throw the Brady part in there because I'm next to someone who won a national championship with Michigan, so you're welcome. But of course, Lawyer had a great football career. He's an assistant coach, Redmond High School. Amira's sisters in the softball as well. Claudine, Amira's mother, outstanding track athlete here at Washington as well.
It's no secret why athletes' kids make it to this level. They're raised in a world where this is the level that you just play at, and you're intense and you're passionate and you know how to compete because that's all your parents know how to do. So no doubt that Malloy has that competitive nature as well.
Well, she's worked the count full after falling behind 0-2.
He had a big swing on a rise ball early on in this count and has really started to become a little more disciplined. Osorio trying to get her to fish at something out of the zone again. But quick adjustments she's made in the box here.
Swing and a miss, and Osorio gets her 4th strikeout. We've played 2 in Seattle. 2-0, Alabama on top. Lexi Osorio getting it done in the circle as she has done throughout her Bama career. Ready for the 3rd inning here in Seattle, the Seattle Super Regional Game 1. Alabama will send to the top of the order up against freshman Gabby Plain. Alyssa Brown takes ball 1. She struck out her first time.
I think for Alyssa Brown, just seeing the pitches that she saw, got behind in the count, then the pitches ended up working more in the zone. Swung and missed at a good pitch, but here, second time through the lineup is where she's going to see the movement a little bit better. And you're still seeing her just so patient. It's so important in a leadoff hitter. And one of the things that Coach Murphy talks about is her walk-to-strike ratio is down so much better this year than in the year before, and how valuable that is for a leadoff hitter.
Take strike 1.
He actually says back in home games when she was striking out too much, he'd pull her into the hallway of the dugout and say, Alyssa, Alabama players do not strike out in the leadoff position. Made it very clear to her. As such, she's adjusted and she's been great in that leadoff.
Lays off for ball 3. It's 3-1. Called strike. Count goes full 3-2 to the sophomore leading off for Alabama here in the 3rd. Big hit in this game from Sydney Booker in the number 8 slot in the Alabama order. 2-run, 2-out double on an 0-2 pitch. Brown takes strike 3. She strikes out for the 2nd time. 1 down.
Almost looks to me like Alyssa Brown is looking for the walk more than she's looking to attack the pitch. This pitch low in the zone. You got a 3-2 count. You know it's going to be something good enough that you've got to battle it off, and you're not seeing her stay aggressive as she gets her 2nd strikeout.
I'll bring up Demi Turner, who takes up also any conversation down the runway with Patrick Murphy, and Alyssa Brown will have to wait because he's down in the 3rd base coach's box, but I'm sure he's taking a note. Oh, talk to Alyssa. She struck out leading off the 1st and the 3rd.
Right, and I'm sure past conversations are also going through her head. Leadoff hitters do not strike out. Leadoff hitters, she will adjust. She is that kind of hitter. She has the experience to do so. But you've got to credit Gabby Plain for mixing her pitches well. She got behind on Brown both times, but battled back. You see her now with a mixed count here, 1-1 against Demi Turner.
Turner lined back to Plain her first time. Two and one to Turner, whose walk-off single completed a sweep of Texas A&M late in the season, locked up a regional hosting spot for Alabama. And as we told you at the top of our telecast, how important that's been, because Alabama is a perfect 14 for 14 in the regional round because they've been so good in Tuscaloosa. Ground ball too short. Half step back for Bates. 2 down. 8 super regionals around the country. The winner of this matchup in Seattle will take on the winner of the Oklahoma-Arkansas Norman Super Regional. Oklahoma getting off to a good start in that matchup with a 7-2 win over Arkansas. Jocelyn Allo with yet another home run, 27 on the season. Arkansas making their first ever appearance in the Super Regional round. Another ground ball to the shortstop. Bates up with it, and Tao is retired. 1-2-3 inning for Gabby Plain. Still 2-0 Bama. Look at the champions since 2012. Oklahoma back-to-back winners. Florida won 2 in a row. Oklahoma, and then there is Alabama. Winners in 2012. We take that back to 2009. That's when Washington won their national championship. Washington and Alabama faced off 3 times in the NCAA tournament. Back in 2007, Seattle Super Regional, the Huskies with a sweep over Alabama. 8 years later in Tuscaloosa, the Crimson Tide won 2 games over the Huskies en route to the regional title. And then in the Supers in 2016, Bama won 2-0. So we asked Huskies head coach Heather Tarr, well, you know, your upperclassmen have any payback in their mind, because their seasons have ended at the hands of Alabama a couple times in the last 3 years. And, you know, I think she was kind of driving it towards college kids sometimes can't remember what they had for breakfast or lunch or what I just told them, but they're just a group that's been fully and firmly focused on the next pitch, and it's served them well. They got off to that great start, #1 in the country for 9 weeks. Stumbled in late April, lost 6 in a row. Now, granted, those 6 losses were against UCLA, #3 in the country, and Oregon, #1 in the country. But bounced back with a 6-game winning streak heading into the Super Regional matchup with Alabama. Sophomore Taryn Atley leading things off for Washington.
You can see those losses, just the 3 to UCLA and Oregon, 2 to Arizona State. And this is a team where they admitted to a point that good pitching can get them in a lot of cases. It was something that they had to battle. They had to focus on winning that next pitch, like you said, became their slogan. Osorio here, one of those great pitchers that you almost expect will be one of the ones they struggle with. We've seen them so far today, besides Taylor Van Zee really struggle, as Osorio has retired 6 straight since that double from Taylor Van Zee at the beginning of the game.
Off speed, grounded. Hempel can't find it. And reaching is Atley to start the home half of the 3rd inning. Back to the studio and Molly. We'll get to Molly in a moment. Let's show you this error on Hempel.
And execution is key. Your defense has to stay strong. This a easily fielded ball. Hempel kind of lets the ball play her a little bit instead of really cradling it in that glove. And by the time she bobbles it, not enough speed, of course, to get back to first base. An error on Hempel.
#9 hitter Kelly Burdick, the center fielder, takes ball 1. See the numbers for Burdick. Second team all-conference selection, very good speed. Bunt to third, sacrifice works. Atley moves up to second.
This is a great place for, obviously, a sack bunt in the bottom of that lineup for Kelly Burdick. Obviously, with her speed, too, forces this defense to have to make quick decisions. And because of that, it easily protects Atley to get all the way to second base. So you can't even really consider going for a leadoff runner when the speed of Burdick is so good.
Back to the top of the order, Taylor Van Zee led off with a double for Washington. He only hit so far against Alexis Osorio. Van Zee, a senior, DuPont, a senior, Thomas, a senior, Melhart, a senior. A lot of veterans on this team. Burdick, who just sacrificed a senior. Osorio slowing things down, and now comes with the 0-1, throwing back behind. It goes off the knee of the second baseman, Turner.
Reagan Dykes, we know, likes to throw. Keep runners honest, keep them close to those bases. It's just not a secret here that if she has a chance to fire one down, she will. If you can keep Atley just that much closer to second base on her leadoff, it can be one step further for her to have to run to try to score on a hit from Van Zee. And sometimes little things like that can matter so much in the game when you have a bang-bang play at home. Should a hit from Van Zee come here?
One and two the count to the Huskies leadoff hitter. Out of play. Well, one thing with this group of seniors here, and it was mentioned by head coach Heather Tarr about playing with a little chip on their shoulder here as well. Here's a team that was #1 in the country for 9 weeks. They're 28-0. They've won a national championship, but there's the sense that maybe they're forgotten in the national picture, and they want to remind everybody, we went to the Oklahoma City last year. We've got a team that can get back there this year. So that is kind of that mindset for Washington coming into this super regional against Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, they've advanced to the supers 8 of the last 9 years. They battle well, they compete, they're always in the mix. But I tell you what, when you're a team that battles like that, that has expectations on their own of being something, of being in the Women's College World Series, competing at regionals, successful at regionals, as you see there, and successful in supers. When you're forgotten, now you start playing with a chip on your shoulder, and you start saying, hey, remember us because we're good. And I'll tell you what, I have not forgotten Washington. They have been great this year.
Good at bat for Van Zee. Works the count full to 3-2. Atley reached on an error, was sacrificed by Burdick to second. Swing and a miss, foul tip into the glove of Dykes, 2 down. 5th strikeout for Osorio. Well, when it comes to making it to this round of the NCAA tournament, Alabama's at the top of the list. 14 appearances in 14 tries. Arizona, 13 appearances since the Supers era started in 05. Oklahoma with 12. And the team here in Seattle, the Washington Huskies, making their 12th Super Regional appearance here in 2018. Sis Bates takes the ball.
Sis Bates, remember her last at bat was an attempt at a sac bunt. She popped up, so she really has not seen very many pitches, has not gotten a chance to swing away. Van Zee, yes, a huge strikeout by Osorio, but still has to face Bates here.
Called strike, it's 1-1. Atley, who scored 3 runs in the regional here in Seattle last week, in scoring position with 2 down. Osorio making her 26th start of the season. 3-1 the count. Was hit in the head by a comebacker on March 18th. Missed a couple of weeks, returned on March 31st. See, just wearing the visor out there, no face guard. Trying to pitch her team to Oklahoma City. Called strike, count is full.
It's so easy to say, why would you not wear a face mask, you know, when you've gotten hit in the face? It's so hard for pitchers to make adjustments to that, and you want to get back to what you're comfortable with, what you're mentally tough and strong. I mean, you can see her record.
Especially the last 3 years.
1.14 ERA. Her last 3 years are incredible. I mean, you see her here. I just think her pitches are moving, and she's stronger than she's been throughout the year. Trying to walk there is Sis Bates. That pitch just misses off the corner, but Osorio has commanded the zone beautifully so far this game.
First walk allowed by the senior from Riverside, California. They'll bring up the number 3 hitter, Julia DuPont.
And this is just the first inning. Osorio has allowed 2 Washington runners to reach base in an inning.
One of the seniors from Washington getting ready to hit here, but first conversation for Alabama. Let's get to know Julia DuPont a little bit more. She's heading to South Bend to pursue her master's at Notre Dame. My dream job is to be an astronaut as well. She may be closer to it than I am, though, at this point.
My money's on her, Eric.
Big spot here for a player with some pop. 51 runs batted in, 14 home runs on the season, leading the team with those 14 homers. You can see her ranks in the conference.
And that includes a hit and an RBI in all of the regional games so far. Perfect on a hit and an RBI in that regional series. Now with an opportunity here again to come through with an RBI.
Big spot here in the 3rd.
Yeah, I was gonna say, being clutch in this situation is a big spot.
Off speed, misses down low, it's 2-0. DuPont, the first of 5 strikeout victims, as Alexis Osorio, after giving up the leadoff double to Van Zee, had retired 6 in a row before the error charge to Hemphill. Fouled out of play, it's 2-1. Two-one.
Great at bat by DuPont. She stays patient. She's disciplined in that box against an Osorio that knows how to graze that strike zone. Gives herself a favorable count to make something happen.
Called strike, it's 3-2. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here in the bottom of the 3rd. just getting a piece to stay alive.
And a big swing there from DuPont. She had to extend just to get a hold of that pitch. Started on the outside corner, moved even further out. DuPont, quick hands, was able to catch up with it, just a piece of it.
Another piece for DuPont. You can see always in the air is Taylor Van Zee, number 3. I mean, she took a step or two out of the dugout just to offer some encouragement to DuPont, who's battling. Atley at second, Bates at first. Another 3-2. Popped up right side, Hemphill moves over and runs out of room.
For a Washington team that gets fired up, like you said, Van Zee in the dugout, leading it, getting more and more energized as these foul balls come through. This is the at-bat that DuPont really needs to have. Fire her team up, battle, even if it doesn't end up in her favor. But how much will it fire up if it does?
Called strike 3. Osorio gets her 6th strikeout to retire the side. We will talk with Heather Tarr, the Washington coach, when we come back to Seattle. Back in Seattle, Heather Tarr in her 14th year here at Washington, 579 wins, knows what it takes to get here to the Super Regionals, and she joins us right now. And Heather, you've been through this a time or two before, but how do you think your team's handling the pressure of playing in a Super Regional here in the early going?
Little amped up that first inning. Probably play a little bit too fast for ourselves offensively, but hey, you know, we got to swing the bat to try to make things happen, and I guess we're trying to figure out like a balance between that and taking the balls and swinging at the strikes.
Coach, talk a little bit about defensively. Gabby playing in the circle, just a freshman. What do you like about what she's done here so far today?
I'm just trying to keep her composure and work pitch to pitch and, you know, try to stay in the moment. You know, she just probably missed one there down and in to Booker, and she made good on it. So we'll just try to chip away and see if we can overcome this deficit.
We appreciate the time, Heather. Thank you very much.
Thanks, you guys.
Gabby playing 3 innings of work, just that one hit. It was costly, a 2-out double to Sydney Booker, the number 8 hitter for Alabama. Brought in 2 runs, and that's where we stand right now, 2-0 at the end of 3. 4-5-6 for Alabama here in the top half of the 4th. Bailey Hemphill swings at the first pitch and fouls it off.
I think playing just over the course of the first 3 innings, I agree. As you see the 588 batting average from Hemphill in the last 9 games, that's what she's up against right now. But she has gotten stronger as the game has gone along. Her last inning, the most efficient with her pitches.
Called strike, it's 0-2. Well, what's remarkable about those numbers from Hemphill as you think back during that 9-game span, now that was coming after Alabama had lost 6 of 8. They were trying to find their way in that last weekend in April. She comes back, she hits a 3-run home run in her first at-bat, her first game back, and the team has won 8 of 9 since her return in those 9 games. And that one loss was to Florida. That smoked foul.
Yeah, and she was just one of the things that had been kind of a little bit of success during that time. Obviously, Hemphill coming back and being strong. There were a lot of doubts, a lot of what-ifs as that Georgia series had finished. They got into game 3. They had never been swept. Booker comes up and gives a riveting speech about how she doesn't want to end her career playing the way they were. They got fired up, and since then, with Hemphill's help, have been on fire.
That one may have ended up in Union Bay.
All I can think of is when she fouls it, how hard the ball is coming off the bat, the power that she has. Yeah, it's not fair.
She doesn't get cheated.
No, she certainly does not. If you're Gabby playing, all that is a long strike. But holy smokes, it's hit hard.
Playing getting the start for the 7th consecutive game for Washington, winning her last 6 starts, 6-game winning streak for the Huskies. That's up high. It's 2-2. Actually, to be clear, Albello did get the start, 1 start in the regional, but Plain came in and got the win in the regional. So 3 appearances in the regional, 16 innings of work, just 1 run. She's given up 2 runs here through 3 innings in game 1 of the Super Regionals. Off-speed pitch, great pitch from the freshman. Froze one of the best hitters in the country, 1 down.
You know, sometimes those pitches that get brought in so close to the zone, you're not expecting them to be that good. That's what it looked like with Hemphill here. This pitch brought literally over the plate, knee high. I bet she wants it back, but Gabby playing a good pitch right there.
See that look on Emma Helm's face behind the plate? She knew when the ball was halfway there that they had Hemphill 1 down. Comes back in for strike 1. Well, we know things are called from the dugout here, but you know, you pitched, you're part of a national championship for Michigan, but having a freshman catcher, that's an interesting dynamic. But you got a freshman in the circle, freshman catcher. Sometimes it doesn't matter what class you're in, it's just, do you have that chemistry? And it seems like Emma Helm has been instant chemistry with these Washington pitchers this year. That's up high. Helm had to be a quick study because Morgan Flores was lost this season to an ACL injury in February. So Helm, the timetable gets accelerated a little bit, but she's been a big reason why they are hosting a Super Regional.
She has been, and catchers control the game. So as a freshman to have to control in that position, that is a big shoe to fill, or a set of shoes to fill. And she really has done it beautifully. Morgan Flores, an outstanding catcher in her own right, took command. And like you said, you've got a freshman pitcher you're trying to control. You're a freshman yourself, and you're stepping in trying to lead a team that is so successful in the postseason to continually be successful in the postseason. And credit to Helm for really stepping in.
2-1 pitch to Reagan Dykes, who was hit by a pitch and scored in the 2nd. 3-1 to Dykes. It's an interesting contrast looking at these 2 pitchers because it seems like the default look on Gabby's face is a smile. No matter what happens. 3-1. I mean, it may be like a small grin or it could be a big toothy smile, whereas on the other side for Osorio, she never changes her look. You would never know if she was up 5, down 5, if she'd given up a 3-run home run or just gotten 3 strikeouts in a row.
Right, and I think the key for both of these pitchers is the look doesn't change. Whether it's a smile we're seeing on Gabby Plain or just clear focus, it does not change whether she's stressed or not.
Fouled back. So when you strike out the best hitter for Alabama looking, the smile's a little wider. This was the look after the Hemphill strikeout.
But still, I mean, like, I feel like you can see the look in the eyes on pitchers, that the focus is there. No matter what happens with the face, there's confidence there. Regardless of what we're seeing, Osorio the same way. She just has a great poker face, the ability to command the game just by her look.
Up high, and Dykes is on for the 2nd time. A 1-out walk. Back to Molly in the studio.
Now batting for Alabama, number 15, Gabby Calloway.
All right, Molly, thanks very much. Very impressive last night for UCLA, 7-1 victory. Hard to believe it's the first postseason meeting between those 2 programs, those 2 storied programs, before reaching the Women's College World Series. Advantage UCLA after game one. Strike one to Gabby Calloway. Little late afternoon sun trying to peek out here in Seattle. One and one.
Again, you can see that look. Gabby Plain's face, the consistency, the calmness, and shoot, if I had defense like this behind me, I'd have a smile on my face too.
1-2 now the count to Calloway.
Plain doing a good job staying on that outside corner. Got that leadoff strike. Brought the pitch further out in the zone and then has kind of been trying to live somewhere in that middle of just brushing into a strike and throwing a ball in that outside corner, and Calloway having to guess on what's a strike and a ball.
Swing and a miss. Fourth strikeout for the freshman. 2 down. Sports Center after Celts Cavs on ESPN with Scott Van Pelt. Cavs are facing elimination. SVP will have the most complete coverage and in-depth reaction to Game 6. Analysis from Doris Burke, Paul Pierce, Tim Legler, and you also hear from LeBron live and his post-game news conference, live reports from inside the locker rooms as well. Sports Center with SVP, 11 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Take a look at this last pitch from Calloway. This was an effective pitch because of the pitches that set it up prior to. Look at the movement on this pitch. Way out of the zone as it drops lower in the zone. Calloway, who had seen pitch after pitch after pitch on that outside corner, really kind of guessing which was a strike, which was not, as one moves out of that zone. Beautiful pitch by Gabby Plain, but Calloway fished for it.
Here's Mara Schroeder. Soft liner, reaching up and grabbing it is Sis Bates to retire the side. We will talk with Alabama head coach Patrick Murphy when we come back to Seattle. For the first pitch is thrown, we're joined now by Patrick Murphy, head coach for Alabama in his 20th year, 1,023 wins, and we know what the top half of your lineup can do, but what does it mean to your team to see what the bottom half of the lineup can do, as we saw in that second inning?
Big time, and that's when we win games, when the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters come through, especially with 2 outs. That's a big, big hit for Booker.
Coach, you also win games when Osorio throws well. 6 strikeouts so far this game. What do you like about her command?
Going right at people. You know, like the last K against DePonte was huge. You know, full count. It looked from over here, it was right down the gut, but I'm not sure. But it definitely was a strike. And on full count, when she's mixing her pitches and making it move, you know she's having a good night.
I think Alexis will tell you she just painted a corner exactly the way she wanted to, right?
Yes,
and
exactly.
She did. Thanks, Pat. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for being here.
Our pleasure. 3 innings of work, 1 hit, no runs, 6 strikeouts for the pitcher, who's number 3 on Alabama's all-time strikeout list. She'll work to 4, 5, 6 for Washington here in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Thomas, Helm, and Melhart. A big cut from Thomas for strike 1.
And really the battle that Washington has to deal with at this point is that Alexis Osorio is a feel pitcher. She has to feel it. She has to feel good. When she's feeling good, she is so hard. And we are seeing here so far this game, really feeling her pitches, really seeing her command the zone beautifully. Forcing Washington to swing at pitches, really, Eric, that are strikes, but they're not connecting with. And I think when you're able to throw a called strike and they're swinging at it and not connecting, you do have command of that zone.
Thomas stays alive. She struck out in the first. Now, Washington made Osorio work a little bit last inning. Error to start things off from Atley, sacrifice bunt, a walk to Bates. 1-2. That was the first walk issued by Osorio. She has 6 strikeouts. And they only hit the leadoff double from Van Zee in the bottom half of the first inning. Little check swing, slow roller to Turner. Onto Hemphill, 1 down. 6 strikeouts for the senior from California.
I mean, just pay attention to the movement and the speed of these pitches as they go up in the zone, brought in the zone, forces Washington to guess. Even when they're in that zone, Washington unable to connect. Just beautiful pitches. And taking command of that zone. I can't say it enough so far this game that she has been successful for that reason alone.
Well, a senior, and we talked about it last week when you and I were in Fayetteville. Seniors dial it up a little bit, and she has found that next level. The regional finale against Oregon State went the distance, gave up 1 hit, complete game shutout, 9 strikeouts. Gave up just 2 hits in the Tuscaloosa regional in her 2 appearances. And we know she can pile up the strikeouts because I don't even think that Jenny Ritter had a 21 strikeout game in her time in Michigan.
You know, it's funny.
I'd have to check back through the record book.
I used to tell people I would retire if I ever got 21 strikeouts because I didn't think it was possible. But then Alexis Osorio got 21 strikeouts, and I feel like I have to retract that statement.
Did that this year against Fordham. She also had a 19 strikeout perfect game last year against Coastal Carolina as a junior. So when she's on, and like you just documented, when she's mixing her pitches and finding her spots, those strikeouts can pile up in a hurry, and she's got 6 so far through 3 1/3.
It does sound crazy because of how many strikeouts she gets and how hard she throws, but in a lot of cases, she's not a true power pitcher. When I think of a power pitcher, I think of Monica Abbott. She's going to attack you with pure power, high level of speed, incredible movement on the corners, but mostly just attack that zone, and Osorio has to rely on that movement. So in a lot of cases, she's more of a movement pitcher than a power pitcher, but really has a good balance of both.
Well, that's how you define a true pitcher. If you're going to be able to pull out that many pitches in your repertoire. We just saw another one off speed. Helm doing a good job working the count full for Washington. Fly ball to center field. Brown puts it away for out number 2. And going back through my scorecard, outside of that pop-up bunt by Bates, that's the first fly ball out tonight for Washington.
That's because most of them have been strikeouts. She has been on fire, but yeah, she's keeping that ball really low. In a lot of cases, you can keep that ball low, you can promote more ground balls.
Called strike to Tristan Melhart. Grounded to third her first time. Two runs for Alabama scored in the second inning. One and one the count to the senior right fielder.
Melhart, obviously a true slapper, does not swing away, but you see how moved in this defense is. Look at Booker at shortstop, playing in front of the base path. You've got to be able to take away that quick stuff. If Melhart has the speed, you've got to do what you can. Even the outfield moved in. You see Alyssa Brown in center field, shaded towards left. So a lot of times slappers try to drop that little blooper right behind Booker and in the gap.
Get a really good look at it from that angle from the center field camera, how far Booker is over She's closer to third base than she is to second base.
I think with any slapper, you have to understand what their tendencies are. A lot of slappers try to drive it into the ground, beat it out with a bounce. Some try to drive it right down the line or bloop it into that shallow outfield. So when you get the scouting report, you shade the way you need to shade defensively to get the out.
3-2. Fouled into the crowd, and what a great crowd. I mean, every seat that you look around, you see a couple empty spots, but I think the folks who got here late, they're up on the stairs, they're up on the balconies, they're crammed in around the foul pole. And they're everywhere. And they're over in Husky Stadium. And they see Melhart work a 2-out walk. Second walk issued by Osorio. She issued a 2-out walk into third.
And walks have been an issue for Osorio throughout the season. She's been good here in the postseason. Didn't walk many, just one in the regional. Seeing 2 here, that's something she has to be careful of, but really less hurt when it's on 2 outs to issue a walk.
Here's Amira Malloy, who struck out in the second. Oh, and 2.
And that pitch, that low rise, that is what the Huskies have struggled with a lot of this game. It comes in as a called strike. But when you swing at it right now, these batters are swinging underneath it. Haven't been able to connect.
Swing and a miss. Strikeout number 7 for Osorio. Leading off for Alabama in the 5th is the senior who came up with the big hit, Sydney Booker, when we come back to Seattle. Pike Place Market, very famous destination, of course, when you come to Seattle, as we take a look at the bracket for the NCAA Softball Championship presented by Capital One. Washington and Alabama here in Seattle, the first of 3. Oklahoma getting a win in Norman today over Arkansas. And the other half of the bracket, Oregon trying to stay alive tonight. And South Carolina and Arizona State meeting after we're done here. I think the temperature hit 100 today in Tempe, but it's supposed to cool off to 93 for first pitch tonight. Sydney Booker has the big hit of the night in this game, and she takes for ball 1. On an 0-2 pitch, she delivered a 2-run double off of Gabby Plain in the second. That's her only scoring of the game here in game 1. Just 2 hits, 1 for each side. We'll take you back to the second inning.
And Coach Char talked a little bit about this just being a pitch that missed too far in the zone. That is true, as Booker was able to turn on it, score 2 runs that really got Washington in this place due to a walk and a hit by pitch at the beginning of the inning. They were able to capitalize at the bottom of their lineup.
Dykes and Schroeder scoring the runs for Alabama. 1-2.
See top 4 in the lineup, 0 for 7. Normally 555 in the regional. The rest of the team here is just 1 for 5, just that 1 hit so far this game. An important one though.
Well, the bottom 5 been on base 4 times with the sacrifice. Just misses down low. It's 2-2.
And you have to think too, when you talk about game plan, if you're Washington, you're Coach Tar, you're watching what Alabama can do offensively, you know the top of their lineup is their strongest part, and so you do everything you can to limit them, of which case Washington has executed beautifully. Alabama has executed at the bottom of the lineup, which is not always normal.
Ground ball left side, grabbed by Van Zee. 1 down. One thing that seems to be one of the themes for Washington this year is they won't beat themselves. Now, you can narrow it down like you just mentioned, a mistake on an 0-2 pitch by the pitcher, but in the field, we haven't seen that throughout the season for Washington. They've been very consistent.
No, they have been, and that's one of those things where you just have to rely on the defense to do the work. And you know, that was a well-hit ball by Booker that pushed those runs across the plate.
Claire Jenkins takes for strike one.
And you can defend balls that are defendable. In other words, if the pitch or if the hit is coming to these Washington defenders, they are on fire. It's almost an automatic out. It's hard to say that in a lot of cases, but with this defense, they're able to do it. It is hard to push a hit through somewhere on this infield.
Oh, 2 to Jenkins.
You see that 980 fielding percentage, 4th in the entire NCAA, and they pride themselves on it. I feel like when you talk to them about it, it's something they know they're good at. They're confident about it.
Taryn Atley at second base. Sis Bates at shortstop, the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. One, two to Jenkins. Slap to right field. Getting a good jump on it was Melhart to put it away for out number 2. Much like we talked about before, Jenny, with Osorio, not a lot of fly ball outs off the bats of Alabama hitters. Fouled off by Alyssa Brown, who struck out twice.
Difference here, just this at bat is Alyssa Brown a little more aggressive here at the beginning, but she's gotten a pitch that was close enough to that zone. I think sometimes that might help her get more reset. I think a little too patient there in the first 2 at bats, which resulted in strikeouts. Brown has worked the count full in both of those plate appearances. I think as a leadoff hitter, it's important to see a lot of pitches work the count full. Just want to win some of those battles too.
Well, she has not looked comfortable, that's for sure, facing Gabby Plain. Brown's been a tough out this year and in the NCAA tournament. But Gabby Plain has had her number so far tonight. Slow roller to second, Atley to first, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Gabby Plain, whose Washington team is down 2-0 in the 5th. SEC and Pac-12, 2 top conferences in college softball. Some head-to-head matchups later tonight in Eugene. Oregon, #1 team in the country, needing to win to stay alive in the tournament, taking on Kentucky. We're watching Alabama take on Washington, and then South Carolina and Arizona State will start their super regional in Tempe. See, it's been a while since South Carolina has been onto the Women's College World Series. They'll get their super regional started in just a bit. 8-9-1 for Washington, down 2-0 here in the 5th. Now trailing here in the postseason in the 5th inning isn't something new for Washington. They were down to Texas in the regional 1-0, came back to win that game. They had knocked off Boise State 8-0 in game 1, came back to beat Texas 2-1 and knocked off Minnesota 5-2 to earn a spot here in the super regional in Seattle. 2-0.
That's the thing with a team that has that one pitch focus, is they always talk about. It's about their slogan this year, next pitch. It's about winning the next pitch, focusing on what you can do moving forward. And when you do that, your focus is not so much about the deficit you're in. It's more so about the next pitch that you see coming forward and how you can attack that. And it's about winning that moment as opposed to really reflecting on anything in the past. In a lot of cases, that's why they're able to kind of propel through and pull off wins when they're behind for most of the game.
2-1 to Atley. Reached on an error the first time by the first baseman Hemphill, but not this time as Hemphill gloves it for the first out. Back to Molly. Thank you, Molly and Kayla. And we want to offer our tip of the hat to Texas A&M. A little slap to left, and it's a fair ball. Off the bat of the number 9 hitter, Burdick, who's got great speed, but was held to a single. A one-out single gets to the top of the order. Texas A&M, they lost to Florida last night. They looked done, but they rallied back to beat Florida here today to force a deciding Game 3 in that Super Regional. Burdick, the number 9 hitter, comes through with the slap single.
And this just beautifully placed right there on that left field line and early on in the count. Again, with Osorio, she's going to attack the zone and bring you a pitch that is going to be close to that zone. And sometimes your best pitch that you're going to see, that first pitch. Kelly Burdick, great job to jump on that first pitch, get it in between the lines, and get on base.
Second hit yielded by Osorio. The first came off the bat of Taylor Van Zee, who led off for Washington in the first with a double. So in a 2-run game, what's the call here for Heather Tarr? You have Kelly Burdick at first, who's 20 of 21 when it comes to stolen bases this year. But you've got a catcher, Reagan Dykes, who has a great arm, took a peek over at first to see what the runner was doing as Osorio was winding and firing.
Yeah, and you have to respect Reagan Dykes for what she's capable of doing. Second most in the SEC when she's throwing out 14 base runners. But you've got to get Burdick to second base. You've got Van Zee, you've got Sis Bates up. To me, I look at this and you take your chances to be aggressive, get her in scoring position, and then trust the bat of Van Zee and Sis Bates behind her.
You get a good look if you watch Dykes behind the plate as Osorio's winding up. She's looking around the left-handed batter, Van Zee, to try to get a peek at the runner, Burdick, just to get that split-second heads up if she's got to get in position to try to throw her out.
Yeah, for Reagan Dykes, it's just a green light. She sees movement. She's going to fire when she thinks it's the right time to fire. And
pitch misses. It's 3-1.
you can see her eyes as soon as that ball is caught and framed. She's looking around. She is ready every second of the way, and that's half the battle, is a catcher that is prepared to make that throw and comfortable to come up firing every time.
It's like she's just getting her sleeves just right because she's ready to throw. 3-1 to Van Zee. There goes the runner, and she's safe. Stolen base number 21 on the season for Burdick. But it was ball 4 to Van Zee, so wipe out the stolen base.
Exactly. If you know that would be ball 4, you've got to go. If you're Burdick, she was on her horse. Throw off target a little bit from Dykes.
So the pitch called a ball, so Van Zee is on for the second time, and that will bring up Sis Bates with 2 on and 1 out here in the 5th.
A little bit of rally here for the Huskies. Again, what we kind of talked about, just their one-pitch mentality of not giving up, and here have worked themselves into a great situation with an outstanding hitter up that can always come through in a big way.
Bates walked in the 3rd, popped up on a bunt attempt in the 1st. She's 4 for 10 in the postseason and 400 for the season. 1-1.
Runners in scoring position. Washington's 0 for 5 so far. Alabama just 1 for 3, but came with 2 big RBI. The only 2 runs of this game. Washington looking to do the same here and connect.
First the conference in the circle. Now get the crowd going here in Seattle a little bit. So while they talk it over, with Washington threatening here in the 5th, we can remind you about ESPN Plus, your home for more sports, more schools, more conferences, and more ESPN. Stream ESPN Plus exclusively on the ESPN app for just $4.99 a month. Sign up now for ESPN Plus.
Stephanie Van Brakel, pro throw, came out to speak with Osorio, and I think maybe the defense a little bit just to settle it down. Van Brakel, pitcher in her own right now, standing pitcher, and gets it. She understands the pressure that this situation is in, and I think for Osorio to sit down and really take a breather here and just go back and attack hitters. She's been doing that all game, Eric, and really kind of lost it a little bit there. Missed her zone. Really need to kind of reset, get back.
Foul tip by Bates evens the count up at 2-2. 90 pitches thrown, 7 strikeouts for senior Alexis Osorio. Two. Back to the pitcher, goes for the force at third in time to get the lead runner 2 down.
Knowing the speed that Kelly Burdick has, you have to be ready if you're Osorio and you get a comebacker to know to go for the leadoff runner. Take a look at this. Burdick sees it, obviously going on a force, but Osorio heads up, always making the decision prior to the pitch even, that if the ball gets back at her, she goes for the leadoff runner and gets a big out.
Hard slide into third, but Jenkins didn't flinch, 2 down. Here's Julia DuPont, line drive, foul.
Heard the fans get a little excited about that. Oh, that's all it takes, and DuPont has had a good at-bat her last at-bat. Really battled well against Osorio, and all it takes is that hit to be just inside the lines to change this game up.
DuPont has struck out twice tonight. Called strike, it's 0-2.
Credit to Osorio for just staying confident in her stuff. Again, we've seen DuPont do such a great job battling her last at bat, 9 pitches before she was caught looking on a strikeout. Now way behind in the count. Really having to battle back against the very good moving pitches of Osorio.
Foul back out of play. Steely-eyed Alexis Osorio. She'll crack a big smile if she gets this out right here. Washington threatening. Hard ground ball, foul again off the bat of DuPont.
DuPont wearing out that left side of that field, just hasn't gotten it in on the other side of that foul line, but those balls, they're hit hard. And we talked about Hemphill and her foul balls. Really with a lot of power behind him. Same with DuPont here. When she connects, it's hard.
Slapped, grabbed by Hemphill. Diving catch at first to retire the side. What a defensive play by Bailey Hemphill.
Bailey Hemphill, we see her come through big offensively, but how about this? What a huge out, a liner down the line. Hemphill saves it, and the team can go to offense.
Little addition here. I must say, I see a little bit of the cottonwood seeds flying back. We lucked out this week. The crew here last week wasn't so lucky, but you get all sorts of nature here. You get your allergies tested, you get to see the bald eagle, you get to see the lake. There we go.
Those beautiful creatures, and a little bit of a Husky fan maybe planting their nest right over center field.
Pretty good neighbors to have. Demi Turner to lead things off for Alabama here in the 6th. Little pop-up on the infield called for by second baseman Atley for the first out. Turner is retired. She's 0 for 3. And I'll bring up Kaylee Tao, the freshman who's 0 for 2. First pitch from Gabby Plain.
Really, since that second inning, Gabby Plain has been fairly solid. She's issued one walk since then, but the rest retired every batter, and that's the settling down that a freshman needs to have really from the start of the game. And how important is that one pitch from Booker?
0-2 to Tao.
And obviously the walks and the hit by pitch that also came in that inning, and the jitters that potentially came with it. Those are all the things that matter so much at the beginning of a game, that execution is key, as we saw Hemphill come through with a big defensive play as well. Sometimes things just have to line up well for you, and right now they're lining up for Alabama.
Comes back in, good movement there. 2 down. 5th strikeout for Gabby Plain.
You talk about Gabby Plain having heavy, heavy spin. This is what we're talking about. The spin so tight as it drops. Look at how Helm's glove even drops with it, just so heavy, but that curves over the knees and drops below the knees. That's how you know that ball drops beautifully. Great pitch.
2 down for Bailey Hemphill. Hard foul ball, that's standard for her. She is a hitting star this season for Alabama, but she is the defensive star here tonight in the Super Regionals. Back to the final out of the 5th.
And look how far off of the line she was playing. She literally had to react to that. As hard as it was hit, where she was playing, she had to lay out immediately. Talk about good eyes there at the corner.
A little conversation with their head coach. What a big spot to come up with a big defensive play. And that would have tied the game. Oh, and 2.
The movement of that pitch just kind of wiggled in there on that outside corner. Almost froze Hemphill a little bit.
She froze Hemphill to pick up her 3rd strikeout to lead off the 4th. Can she end the 6th with another strikeout? Yeah, she knows that's a smart 0-2 pitch.
She says, I got this. So that's what that smile says to me. I got this, no problem.
Gets the corner, and another called strikeout of Hemphill. Great job by freshman Gabby Plain, keeping it a 2-0 game as we head to the bottom of the 6th. 2-0 Alabama over Washington as we head to the bottom of the 6th. Washington representing the Pac-12. We know about the history. We've heard all about it and seen it with this UCLA matchup down in Los Angeles with Arizona. But there hasn't been a Pac-12 team playing in the Women's College World Series final since 2011. It's been a very long drought. That last title was won in 2011 by Arizona State. And when you looked at the bracket when it came out for the entire NCAA field, yeah, you looked Oregon out of the Pac-12, #1 seed, UCLA #3, Washington #5, the team we're seeing here. So a great chance to get back to that Women's College World Series final for the first time in a long time. But in this game, Washington trailing Alabama, game 1 of the best of 3, 2-0 here in the 6th.
There's something to be said, too, I think, for the fact that this is the strongest year the Pac-12 has come out. And part of that, to me, is UCLA. They have commanded in the past. They've been so strong. And when they're not good, Pac-12 tends to be down just a little bit. This year, they are very strong. Obviously, Washington, one of the ones that we talked about a little bit ago about wanting that respect because they're good every year. Oregon has been good every year, but they've really had to battle here in the postseason to make something happen.
Four, 5, 6. Thomas to lead off. Takes a strike. 1-2.
And Thomas, another one. I think Alabama, like I talked about, part of their game plan, just keeping her off the base path, throwing her pitches, going at her, but throwing her good pitches, maybe pitching her a little bit tougher than some of the other batters in this lineup. And they've been successful so far about what they've thrown her.
Osorio goes up top with a 1-2. That was her 100th pitch of the night.
And from a discipline standpoint, Osorio has been able to really attack Thomas with that rise ball. The first rise ball really that Thomas has shown a lot of discipline in not swinging at.
Thomas fouls it back. Alabama with just 1 hit tonight against Gabby Plain. 2-out double, scored 2 runs in the second. 2 hits for Washington against Osorio. 1 in the first inning, 1 in the 5th inning. Off speed, grounded, too short. Booker to Hemphill, 1 down. Defensive change for Alabama as Rachel Bobo, who has moved out to right field, to take over for Kaylee Tao. I'll bring up Emma Helm, who's 0 for 2. Struck out in the second, flied out in the 4th. Swings at the first pitch, little roller to Osorio. 2 down.
Love a pitcher that can field her position. Osorio, no problem on that. And so often some of those little swinging bunts can be the first error of many. When pitchers don't field their position, they can be a really valuable part of an offense. But for Osorio, she fields her position beautifully.
A little conversation here with Heather Tarr coming down from the third base coach's box. I wonder if she was wondering if
Now batting for the Washington Huskies, #2,
Helm had
Kristen Melhart.
fouled it off herself a little bit. Helm was hanging around there for a moment. Quick conversation, 2 down, and here's Tristan Mellart. Back through the middle, and that's the 3rd hit of the night for Washington. Melhart's on for the 2nd time tonight, walked in the 4th.
I think one of the things, whether it's not an intent to do well, but as Melhart drives this ball just into the ground, trying to beat it out with her speed, but is able to drive it up the middle. One of the things not intended, Osorio gives up those hits with 2 outs. And when you give up a hit on 2 outs, it's really hard for a team to really battle and get a rally going. In a lot of cases, those hits have been limited, and Osorio has been able to get a quick out after them. So resiliency there once she does give that hit is important.
Pinch hitter with 2 down in the 6th as Navai Kaupe will hit for Amira Malloy. Freshman swing and a miss.
You see Melhart on her last hit here. Look at that split grip, something we're starting to see a little bit more in fast pitch. Really, it's for control. Control of that bat to bring it down into that zone, chop at the ball. Obviously, we saw Melhart strong through it, getting a hit.
Up high for a ball. Freshman from Hawaii at 246 on the season with 4 home runs. 11 runs batted in. Called strike, it's 1-2.
Washington fans don't like that. Kaupe doesn't like that. But I'll tell you what, Eric, that pitch has been called a strike for most of the day. It's a low rise that goes in the zone and works its way up to the top of the strike zone. Part of the reason why Osorio has been commanding it, the difference for most of the game is that Washington batters have swung at it as opposed to being called a strike.
1-2, swing and a miss. Osorio gets another strikeout. That's her 8th. We head to the 7th with Alabama up 2-0.
And Osorio just taking command. You see a strike up in the zone, and why not throw it again, get Kaupe to swing and miss, and another big strikeout.
Here is our game summary. Just 1 hit for Alabama, but it was a big one. In the 2nd inning on an 0-2 pitch, Sydney Booker with a 2-run double, accounting for the only scoring of the game. Alexis Osorio pitching a shutout through 6. Alabama up in the top half of inning 7. Dykes, Callaway, and Schroeder to face Gabby Plain. Strike 1. Back-to-back strikeouts to end the 6th for Plain, who made 1 mistake basically in this game, and it's cost her this 2-run game.
Yeah, and you really got to give her credit. I think she's calmed down a lot. She's starting to throw her pitches. If you're Alabama, you're thinking game 2, game 3, which they're not where they're at yet, but Gabby Plain has been throwing beautifully since that hit. And I'll tell you right now, Alabama has not adjusted. Of course, just that 1 hit that she's given up, and when you're looking at the case of a series, yeah, a big hit came through this game, but what's going to happen down the road? And credit to Gabby Plain for showing what she can do.
Dykes was hit by a pitch and scored in the 2nd, walked in the 4th. Fly ball to right field. Good communication as Melhart moved over. In front of Burdick, 1 down. It's so funny. Jenny's sitting next to me, and as that ball's heading out to right center, she's cringing a little bit.
Well, you're watching Burdick and Melhart sprinting at full speed towards each other, and at the very last second you saw Burdick go for the backup, but I've seen so many times a lack of communication there. You just want to see clean defense. You're at this postseason, everybody's working so hard.
So Rachel Bobo gets her first at-bat. Hitting in Callaway's spot. The 1-0 from Plain. Two 2-0.
Bobo, you see again that split grip when she goes to set up, just for bat control. Again, really made popular by Louisiana Lafayette back in the day, several years ago, and now more teams are picking it up. More teams are wanting a little bit more bat control, especially with their slappers.
Senior takes a strike. Bobo from Seabrook, Texas. Her first plate appearance of the Super Regional. 2-2.
She brings that pitch low in that zone, keeps it on that outside corner. It's so hard for a hitter to want to pull the trigger at something that hits that bottom right corner of the strike zone. Really question whether or not it's a strike, but beautiful pitcher's pitch there.
Another 2-2 to Bobo. Swing and a miss. Strikeout number 7 for Gabby Plain. She's retired 10 straights, 2 down. Oklahoma and Arkansas got started in Norman. A victory for Oklahoma over the Razorbacks today. That's one part of the bracket. Heading to Oklahoma City, taking on the winner of this series here in Seattle. Arizona State, South Carolina getting started in Tempe in just a bit. Strike 1 to Schroeder.
And the off-speed delivered to Schroeder on the very first pitch. The command that Plain has had of mixing that off-speed in throughout the day has been great.
Ground ball to deep short. Sis Bates backhanded. Throw to first. Dropped by the first baseman. Schroeder's aboard with 2 down. Thomas stretching out and just couldn't hold on to it.
What a play, too. Look how deep Sis Bates gets it from the knees, makes the throw, and caught on time. But Thomas just cannot hang on to it.
You saw the first base umpire ready to tee up the out call. It is scored a base hit for Schroeder, just the second hit allowed by Gabby Plain. Here's Booker, who had the other hit for Alabama. She takes down low for ball 1.
A teachable moment there. A lot of cases, you got to think ball first. You got to catch the ball first, then show it and make sure you secured it. Just a tough play for Thomas at first, but knew it had to be bang, bang.
There goes the runner, and it is a stolen base for Schroeder.
Helm made a decent throw on that. Gabby Plain didn't really get out of the way. If you watch, she didn't duck here on time, and Helm had to throw over her head, which made the throw a little bit higher. Schroeder going on the pitch. Credit to Bates to still try to get that tag down. You just see the athleticism in her.
1-1 to Booker. Ground ball to the shortstop, Bates, to retire the side. Last chance for Washington, down 2-0. 8, 9, and 1 coming up for Washington. Alabama trying to win game 1 here in Seattle. They're on top 2-0. Can Alexis Osorio do it? Can she pitch Alabama to a win here in game 1? Three hits allowed so far by the senior. Single in the 6th, single in the 5th, double in the 1st. Atley reached on an error in the 3rd, lined out to 1st in the 5th. She takes ball 1.
And this is where, if you're Osorio, you've got to kind of show what you're made of a little bit. This is a good home team crowd. They're going to get louder. This offense is going to fire themselves up within their dugout and try to create a rally here in the bottom of the 7th, and a deficit that's attainable of overcoming here is they have to battle it through. And getting these 2 outs in the 8-9 spot for Osorio are going to be huge, especially with such a strong top of the lineup for Washington.
Time is called. Patrick Murphy from the Alabama dugout steps out, and it looks like we're going to have a defensive change at first base. 2 pitches into the bottom half of the 7th inning. Peyton Grantham coming in defensively for Hemphill.
I think the only thing you can consider here is that Grantham probably has the ability to move a little bit better at first base, and you want to put in, as you're here in the bottom of the 7th, your best defense. Hard to say that when we saw Hemphill make such a great play at first base anyway, but you've got to have somebody that can move on their feet.
3-0 to Atlee to start the 7th. A 4-pitch walk, and Atlee is aboard. And the tying run comes to the plate for Washington.
And those pitches really not even close on those 4 straight balls.
3rd walk of the night issued by Osorio. Kelly Burdick getting ready. And the crowd really getting fired up here in Seattle.
And the 2 that get the rowdiest, Sis Bates, Taylor Van Zee, look at them moving, trying to get their dugout fired up.
Burdick sacrificed in the 3rd, reached on the single in the 5th. And a strike from Osorio.
And this is so hard for a defense. You've got a 2-0 lead if you're Alabama, but the energy, you can feel it. It's starting to shift into the favor of the Washington Huskies, and you have to remember, you're still playing with the lead. You're doing okay. Go and attack your batters if you're Osorio. Trust your defense.
Called strike, it's 0-2.
Bunt defense, we moved in just a little bit. You'll see the corners crashing as Burdick squares to bunt, try to get this sack bunt down. So key to execute here.
Sorry, Jenny, you can tell that Burdick wasn't too happy with the call. She started to walk up the first base line, and her head coach, Heather Tarr, called her over. That's a senior talking to the head coach, and the head coach, knowing a player that's been around for a few years, knowing when she needs a moment,
yeah,
you would think to calm down.
And you have to think, this is a senior, like you said, that wants to lead. They're a strong leader. They want to execute and show their team that they need to execute in this situation. And quickly, she gets behind 0-2 and does not execute a bunt, is going to have to do it the hard way or attempt to bunt on 0-2, which...
Pulled it back, it's 1-2.
If you're with Heather Tarr, you just got to remind Kelly Burdick, you can do it another way. Breathe, be patient, find your pitch, put it in play. You can still advance a runner if you put it in play, as long as it's a position on the field that will allow Atlee at first to get to second base.
Popped up right behind the plate and dropping in. Burdick stays alive.
And the big key here for Burdick is get the ball on the ground. If more than anything else, put that ball on the ground unless you're able to drop it in to that shallow outfield and a guaranteed hit, but advance the runner here.
Burdick just battling, falling behind 0-2, and now even in the count 2-2. ball, strike 3. 1 down. 9th strikeout for Osorio.
And a huge strikeout and a beautiful pitch that has been called, Eric, all day long. This, I thought not bad that Kelly Burdick controlled more than Osorio, but does a good job getting ahead on what she can do. Osorio misses too high, fouls off on a beautiful pitch as Burdick is patient on those up pitches, and then this beautiful outside corner that just grabs the corner of the plate.
Back to the top of the order for Washington. Here is senior Taylor Van Zee. Swings at the first pitch, fouls it off for strike 1. Van Zee got things going for Washington today with a leadoff double in the first, but she was left stranded at second base. Wasn't until the 5th inning that Washington got another hit. Count 0-2.
And remember, Van Zee was one of those strikeout victims this game. Osorio knowing what to pitch her, knowing how to pitch her, and get her to fish for a pitch, which, just like Burdick on that outside strike she got her last strikeout, was the pitch that Van Zee struck out on. So easy to command that outside corner when you're ahead. And focus that Van Zee has. It's getting her mind right, ready to battle. Just do her part for this offense.
Two and two to the senior, Taylor Van Zee.
That pitch just missing too far. Low and outside for Van Zee to fish for it, but you bring that pitch close enough to that zone, she's fished for it. It can happen. You've got to respect what Van Zee can do if you're Osorio, but at the same time, I mean, you're ahead 0-2, really battle and attack that zone.
Fly ball, right center field. It gets down for extra bases. Atley missed second base. She had to go back and tag it up, so she's in safely at third. It's a double for Van Zee. The tying runs are on base for Washington with 1 out in the 7th.
And the battle that Van Zee showed at the plate as she lifts this into the gap. Alyssa Brown covering crazy amount of ground, still cannot catch up to it. But like you said, as Bobo gets it in quickly, Taryn Atley is going, misses second base, has to go back and tag it. Keeps her from scoring because of that, if there was a potential to score, but Van Zee gets all the way to second base. 2 runners in scoring position here.
Sis Bates steps in. Ground ball, center field, base hit. 1 run is in. Here comes the tying run, and Washington has come back to tie it at 2.
You can never count the Huskies out. They battle until the end. Sis Bates, an outstanding job. First pitch swinging. Nothing flashy, gets it into the outfield. Van Zee on her horse. Atlee scores easily. Van Zee from second base. You can see it on Sis Bates' face all the way. She knows she just tied this game up for her team.
Washington had come up empty with runners in scoring position tonight. They were 0 for 7 before that clutch hit by sophomore Sis Bates.
Alabama at this point just has to regroup a little bit. Stephanie Van Brakel, pro throw, back out there to talk, to calm them down. At this point, 1 out. Runner on first, work to get it out because they're still in a pressure situation here. Sis Bates, the winning run here in the bottom of the 7th. Tara Novello in the bullpen to warm up should this go into extras.
Well, Heather Tarr suggested situational usage for Albello coming back from an injury. Maybe they won't need her. Washington, as you mentioned, has got the momentum. They still have a chance here because DuPont has had some good at-bats. She was robbed of extra bases her last time out by Hemphill at first. She has battled against Osorio tonight.
With the exception of Van Zee, who's come through with 2 big hits, I feel like DuPont has had the best at-bats of this lineup so far this game. Still 0 for 3. But potential-wise, to me, her ability to connect, good person to have at the plate.
Big cut, fouls it back. Four runs batted in the regional for the senior Julia DuPont. Two and one.
And Alexis Osorio that we saw in the first 4 or 5 innings, we're starting to not see the same pitches as we had, the command of the zone that she had there. Now missing the zone just a tad. That one missing in the dirt. Maybe thinking a little too much about the fact that 2 big hits came through and that RBI, 2 RBI hit from Sis Bates.
Called strike. Count is full. Heather Tarr coming down from the third base coach's box. Three balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. We expected a very tight super regional here in Seattle. So far, it's delivered here in game 1. Alabama took a 2-0 lead into the bottom of the 7th. Sis Bates with a 2-run single tied it up. And another battle at the plate for Julia DuPont.
This is the 5th full count for Osorio so far tonight. Credit to Washington for working the count fouling off the pitches they don't like. And DuPont, just a battler. Just turning on a lot of these inside pitches, looking to drive something fair.
That is deep but foul. Well, back to your point, Jenny. DuPont has battled here tonight. She struck out twice. She had that line out that Hemphill caught, but she has seen a lot of pitches. I don't think there's anybody in the Huskies lineup who has seen more pitches from Osorio than Julia DuPont has tonight.
You just kind of feel like she's due, Eric. It's her time to come through with a big hit.
Fly ball to shallow center field. Grab by Brown, 2 down.
And another good at-bat from DuPont that ends up in an out as Osorio wins the battle again. And a huge out to get that second out. Maybe breathe a little bit more when you're on defense. You know you're just 1 out away from getting back on offense to battle in extras.
Ball 1 to Kirsten Thomas. Thomas leading the team in runs batted in this season. She's 0 for 3 tonight. Called strike 1-1.
Thomas has struggled a little bit laying off that low rise and the rise ball in general. And Thomas's chances of driving a long ball, of connecting with a good pitch, directly dependent on her ability to be disciplined against that rise ball.
Base hit left field. Bates holds it second. Thomas is aboard. 2-1 with 2 down.
And Thomas finally able to connect with a pitch belt high. She just drives it right back in between the 5-6 hole. You feel she gets just a deep breath as she helps her offense here.
Well, she's had the front row seat for all of the DuPont at-bats against Osorio tonight.
Exactly.
So she's been studying and getting her first hit. Here's Emma Helm, the freshman. Helm 0 for 3. Strike 1.
Osorio, 30 pitches this inning. It's a lot of pitches for somebody if you're, 138 in the game, 30 just this inning, and Washington really forcing Osorio to throw a lot.
Helm down on count, 0-2. Atley started the inning with a walk.
And the outfield moved in just a tad. Have to be able to make that throw from home. Sis Bates at second. Anything over their head, Sis Bates can score on easily. So you have to move in on the outfield. Be ready to fire home.
Oh, 2 to Emma Helm. Once again, Osorio getting ahead in the count, but then Washington hitters being patient, making her work.
Yeah, commanding the zone, getting the Washington batters really to follow off pitches, get behind in the count, but then the pitches that Osorio is throwing after that are either too far over the plate or way too far off the plate.
Runner goes, trying to steal third, and it's dropped by the third baseman, Jenkins, so Bates is safe. But the home plate umpire called it strike 3. So strike 3 is called. There was hesitation on the field, and Patrick Murphy, the Alabama head coach, was yelling at his team to get off the field because strike 3 was called. We're heading to extra innings in Seattle. Sis Bates came through with a clutch hit for this never say die Washington team. 2-2 heading to extras. Sis Bates came through. By birth, Nicole, by nickname Sis, but in Seattle, the star of the show right now because they were down 2-0 heading into the 7th. She brought in 2 runs, and we have extra innings here in Super Regional game number 1 between Alabama and Washington. One team already heading on to Oklahoma City, UCLA knocking out Arizona. Oklahoma took Game 1 against Arkansas. Winner of that series in Norman will take on the winner of this series in Seattle in the Women's College World Series starting Thursday. Nine, 1-2. And remember, Bailey Hemphill is out for Alabama as Grantham was put in as a defensive replacement.
And Hemphill had already been out of the game as they put a pinch runner in her first time she got on base.
The cleanup spot due up 5th this inning.
It's one of those tough decisions you have to make when you get into the bottom of the 7th and you hope to shut it down, not go into extras. When you do now offensively. Payne Grantham, good hitter, but not Bailey Hemphill.
Claire Jenkins leads things off. She's 0 for 2, line to right her last time. What a performance by freshman Gabby Plain. Gave up the 2 runs in the 2nd inning. But since that time, she gave up a walk in the 4th, a single in the 7th, and that's it for Alabama base runners.
And really, Gabby Plain has gotten stronger as this game has gone on. You talk about just the 2 hits she's given up. Alabama not making adjustments on her. She's still getting a strikeout here and there, utilizing that great defense she has behind her. But right now, defensively, she's got the advantage over their offense.
Schroeder had a 2-out single in the 7th. For the only hit since that double by Booker in the 2nd. 2-2. Swung on, hit to left field. Pretty deep, but room for the left fielder DuPont to grab it for the first out of the 8th inning. So we mentioned UCLA, the first team to advance on to Oklahoma City as they sweep Arizona in Westwood. So UCLA is moving on. LSU getting the first victory in Tallahassee of that best of 3. Georgia doing the same to Tennessee in Athens, and touched on it before. What a great response by Texas A&M. After letting one slip away against Florida, they come back to get the victory against the Gators to force a deciding Game 3 in Gainesville on Saturday. Alyssa Brown 0 for 3, grounded out the 2nd her last time. Chop to short, Bates to first in time. You just have to be impressed by Sis Bates. So smooth, you know if it's hit her way, The odds are pretty good she's going to make the play.
Yeah, her athleticism, she's already moved in on this, but that hop with Alyssa Brown's speed usually is enough for Alyssa Brown to get to first base, but not when Sis Bates is there. Her release on a throw is so quick. She's able to get outs that others couldn't.
Demi Turner 0 for 3. Strike one. Turner went 6 for 9 in the Tuscaloosa Regional. Held in check by Gabby Plain tonight. Ball one.
Isn't that pitch really the difference? If you look at the summary of what Gabby Plain has done, that was a ball that moved out of the zone but was so close, and it forces these Alabama hitters to really think about it. She wasn't commanding the zone like that first couple innings. Since the third inning, though, she has really commanded the zone, commanded her pitches, and stayed and hung around that zone enough.
Slap just foul, and the count is 1-2. I'll give a lot of credit to this crowd too, Jenny, because in that bottom half of the 7th inning, they didn't quit.
They didn't, and you know what? They keep getting louder. They're building momentum for this team. They're behind them. Benefit of having a home crowd. Washington fans did not like that this pitch wasn't a strike, and I'm questioning it too. Just a beautiful drop ball on that inside corner, maybe missing the corner a little too much, but I liked it.
Chop back up the middle and a base hit with 2 down in the 8th inning for Demi Turner. So that will bring it Peyton Grantham. So Grantham batting in Tao's spot. Does that mean Tao dropped down to Hemphill's spots?
Okay, so just to get the lineup right, Bobo went in for Gabby Calloway, who's batting in the 6th spot, which then put her in right field, pulled Kaylee Tao out defensively. But then Grantham entered for Kaylee Tao.
And that means Hemphill can stay
still
in
in
the
the
spot.
game.
So Grantham batting now in Tao's spot, but Hemphill doesn't lose the spot. Okay.
Correct, and so
Thank you,
important
Jenny.
when you think about it
Yes,
that
no
way.
question.
You have to figure out how to utilize and manipulate your lineup to keep your best hitters in, but put your best defense in as well. And Patrick Murphy did that and confused us.
Pitch is down low. There goes the runner, and a successful steal, a second by Demi Turner. So she's in scoring position. But now the umpire from first base comes in. And that will end the inning. So a call made by the first base umpire. And that will end things here. No argument from Murphy.
She left too early, no doubt about it. Washington tied 2-2 here. Game 1 in the best of 3. Alexis Osorio really having to battle 7 innings here. She's only given up 6 hits. Those 2 earned runs coming in the bottom of the 7th. Forces game into the 8th inning. Really having to find a way to mix those pitches because this Washington offense, to me, is really battling and the momentum is really on their side.
Starts with someone who's given her trouble tonight. Tristan Melhart's been on twice. A walk and a single, 2 for 3. Down to the count 0-1.
Really, again, this is, you're talking about where the bottom of the lineup has to step up. This is something where Washington needs to battle here. The top of the lineup came through big.
Slap foul. Seniors down to the count 0-2. Melhart 4 for 9 in the NCAA tournament. Patrick Murphy with a quick conversation.
Eric, how about this? Alabama this season in extra innings are 2-0, have not lost. Washington 4-1. The 2 teams that seem to get strong in battle and pull out wins here as we go into extra innings.
Getting that game 1 win, so vital during the super regional era. 80% of the time, they move on to the College World Series in Oklahoma City.
And it's so hard when your backs are against the wall and you're trying to play game 2 and come out with a win and feel as if you have some momentum on your favor. And that, you know, just going back to that Texas A&M win today against Florida, I mean, you talk about how hard that is. A team that you and I watched that looked completely defeated after game 1.
No question.
Losing the lead, and then came back and battled and won it. It says a lot about the character of a program to step in and do that, but it's so difficult. That's why you see the winner of game 1 wins 80% of the time.
Well, we've seen it again here. Osorio gets ahead early in the count, and then it evens up, and she's got to work a little bit more, approaching 150 pitches here in game 1.
It's games like this when you really have to go back, and anytime you work into an extra inning game on game 1, how do you handle your pitching staff after that? Washington, of course, you're talking about a Taryn Alvelo, who's a big question mark. How many innings can she throw? How long can she go? And you've got Gabby Plain throwing a lot of pitches today and going into extras. Osorio, 148 pitches. They've got Gettins behind her that can lead them in the circle, but not the number 1. And how long do you ride your number 1 and trust that they can get through these games in this series?
Count now full, 3-2. Well, Plain has pitched like a number 1 over the last couple of weeks, and certainly here today. Osorio is the number 1 for Alabama, and we just showed you the number. 80% of the time, the team that wins game 1 wins the Super Regional. That's why teams tend to go all in this game. Slow roller to the second baseman, Turner. Melhart retired for the first out. Well, that was a long at bat, and we've seen that from a handful of these Washington players. It's become more and more apparent. They have really made Osorio work. Finally got to her in the 7th inning.
Right, and I think the more you see them work the count this game, say this game ends up in Alabama's favor, they're working the count almost every single time against Osorio, which is really setting them up for game 2 and a potential game 3 if that's the case. Win or lose on this game, they're working their way. They're working Osorio essentially out of the game, the more pitches she throws. And pitchers, of course, can throw a lot of pitches if they have to. They can put their team on their back, and it's not like baseball, of course, but the more tired you are, the less your pitches move, the less your speed is up.
Popped up back behind second base. Trouble! And a great catch made by Alyssa Brown. Brown, a tremendous grab, 2 down.
Brown was kind of running in, just jogging in, and all of a sudden put the rocket boosters on and got all the way in there. Talk about the speed that she has to catch that. Maybe a deep breath and a smile right there at the end. Phew.
First pitch to Atley, misses for ball 1.
I mean, look how close to the ground this was. She got right under it, but barely. And then hung on to it.
And then the quick look up to Turner and Booker. I thought you guys might have had that one.
We're just counting on the one with a lot of speed.
2-0 the count to Atley. Walked and scored on that big 2-run hit by Bates.
Reagan Dykes really talking to Osorio, commanding the game. And you talk about Osorio being a senior, commanding her own game. It's pretty easy in its own right, but Dykes going out there just to communicate with her, and a lot of credit to younger catchers for being able to do that with a veteran in the circle.
Two, 2-1. Count evens up at 2-2 to Atley. Rutgers transfer in her first year with Washington. Full count to Atley.
Again, another full count from Osorio. Atley working the count, making her throw a lot of pitches. I'm telling you, that's going to pay off for the Huskies down the road. Right now, for Atley, connection here is important.
Fly ball to right field. Bobo has it to retire the side. We have played 8 here in Seattle, even between Bama and Utah. Those two teams entered their Super Regional with a combined 127 home runs on the season. They waste no time in getting going with the long ball. We've got extra softball here in Seattle. 2-2 as we head to the 9th inning. And the freshman in the circle for Washington has been outstanding since giving up a 2-run double in the second.
She has been. Her first 3 strikeouts, pretty flat and in that zone, but then look at these last 4. That one, this one, the movement on them, the spin as they curve around the plate. This is why Gabby Plain is better as the innings have gone on. She was getting the Alabama batters to freeze at the beginning, now is getting them to freeze with incredible movement as it curves back into the strike zone.
Ball 1 to Peyton Grantham. Grantham was at the plate when Turner was called out for leaving too early, stealing. In the 8th inning.
If you look at Gabby Plain's pitch is just 114 compared to Osorio's 158. Showing a little bit more efficiency.
Duel is grounded foul. Terranovello up for a second time. Trained by Helm, doesn't get the call. It's 3-1 to the leadoff hitter for Bama here in the ninth.
And Grantham, the importance of her getting on here. Favorable count, find a green light, anything in that zone with Hemphill behind her. She's got to get on base.
Grantham, the senior, came in defensively for Hemphill, but took Tao's spot in the lineup. So Hemphill, even though leaving the field defensively, will bat next. 3-2. Grounded to third. Van Zee, one down.
Now left side of the defense, so strong, making quick and easy plays. You hit a ground ball on that side, don't count yourself on first base by any means. They clean it up on that side.
Here's Hemphill, who could put Alabama ahead with one swing of the bat. 13 home runs in the season, but she has struggled against Gabby Plain. Take strike one.
Mostly with that pitch right there. It's a pitch that's on the outside corner, but it moves. And every time it moves, Hemphill watches it in. A couple strikeouts looking.
Come inside, and it's 0-2 to Hemphill. Walked in the second, struck out looking in the fourth, and again in the sixth.
And we know Hemphill has power. We've seen it as she's fouled off a lot of those inside pitches. But for Gabby Plain, she keeps it on that inside corner, and she turns on it with power every single time, and it's fouled. That doesn't hurt her. And so placement of that inside pitch is important for Gabby Plain.
Swing and a miss for the third time tonight. She gets Hemphill. 2 down.
Hemphill just went fishing on this one. A pitch up and out of the zone. It finally something in the outside corner. Hemphill had to battle on that inside one.
8th strikeout for Gabby Plain. Grounded foul by Reagan Dykes.
And all these Alabama hitters kind of wearing out that left side of the field foul. If they let that pitch come in just a tad bit longer, see that ball in a little bit deeper, they can connect with Plain. Right now they're timing off just a tad.
It looked like Helm was setting up inside, but the ball moved back outside. Everything's working for Gabby Plain right now. Even my mistakes are working out.
So many times pitchers throw pitches that end up being outstanding pitches completely on the wrong side of the plate or with the wrong kind of movement. And when you have that kind of command, you're feeling it.
Oh, 2 to Dykes. 1-2.
Dykes patient on that one. That one not that far off the corner of the plate. Helm does a good job trying to frame it in that strike zone.
Two. Well, it's after midnight on the East Coast, after 9 o'clock here on the West Coast, and after 2 o'clock in the afternoon Saturday back home in Australia, where Gabby Plain is from. She has been outstanding for the Huskies. 3-2. And that one is off the mark for ball 4.
Dykes did a good job just staying patient in that at bat. They pitches close. She stayed patient, sat back on them, did not swing. Was able to be disciplined enough to draw a walk.
Now a discussion with the Alabama coaching staff. See what they want to do here. Bobo is due up. 5 of the first 8 games today, 1-run games. And we are in extra innings here in Seattle. So it looks like Gabby Calloway is getting set to come back into the game.
Callaway really has been consistent all year, and they put Bobo in. 1 strikeout in the sac bunt there in the first inning. Excuse me, she only had the sac bunt in the first inning, as Rachel Bobo had 2 strikeouts following her in the last 2 at-bats. Callaway really hasn't had an opportunity to swing away, put the ball in play.
Slap foul beyond third base. First walk allowed by Gabby Plain since walking Dykes in the 4th inning. Dykes walks again here in the 9th. The 0-1.
Plain's starting to miss a little bit more out of the zone. These last 2 batters, Reagan Dykes and then Kieran Callaway. The balls, we talked about it a little bit before, when she was missing on the plate, the balls weren't that far off of the plate. Her balls the last 2 batters have been a little too far off.
That one comes back in for strike 2.
And there's the command of the zone. So again, that smile from Gabby Plain. Knows it was a good pitch. Was comfortable that it was a good pitch. Maybe found that groove just a little bit there.
One-two pitch. Two runs, 3 hits, an error for Alabama. 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors for Washington. 1-2 pitch to Callaway. Called strike 3. Strikeout number 9 for freshman Gabby Plain. And that retires the side for Alabama in the top half of the 9th. In the bottom half of the 9th, Up third in the inning will be Sis Bates, who came up with a big hit in the 7th to send it to extra innings. Right now, we send it to Molly in the studio. Game 1 of this best-of-3 series in Seattle. Seattle Super Regional. 2-0 lead for Alabama in the second after that. 2 outs, 2-run double off the bat of Sydney Booker on an 0-2 pitch. That was the score till the bottom half of the 7th inning, when Sis Bates came through with a 2-run single to tie the game at 2. After a scoreless 8th inning and a scoreless top of the 9th, we head to the bottom half of the 9th inning. Washington fired up in the 7th inning with those 2 runs. And now walk-off watch is on. 9-1-2 for Washington. Burdick, who came in a .354 hitter. Van Zee, who came in a .369 hitter. Bates, who came in to the Super Regional, a .402 hitter for Washington here in the bottom of the 9th. Burdick's 1 for 2 with a single. Osorio, pitch 159, is down low for ball 1.
And this is going to be the toughest battle for Osorio. You're obviously in a walk-off situation in the bottom of extra innings, so you already feel a little bit of extra pressure on you to keep runners off the base. But on top of that, you're going to be facing the top of this lineup that really did the damage in the bottom of the 7th. And you've got to find a way to balance something different.
Called strike, it's 1-1. It's all on Alexis Osorio. Bullpen empty. Down the first base line.
And I think for Alabama, your best chance as you go through this series is to save get-ins for game 2.
2-1 to Burdick. Remember, excellent speed, a threat to steal, 20 of 21 on stolen bases. Kayla Tao has re-entered in right field for Alabama defensively. Bailey Hemphill is back at first base defensively. 2-2.
And that strike at the top of the zone. Washington fans, Coach Heather Tarr, not fans of it being called a strike, but again, home plate umpire Chris Neighbors has been consistent with that being a strike the entire game. Sometimes right or not, you just got to be consistent.
Another 2-2 pitch coming to senior Kelly Burdick. Slapped off the glove of the third baseman, down the left field line. Burdick holds it first. She's aboard to start the 9th.
When you get in this bottom of the lineup, sometimes you just want your 9-hitter come through once, maybe twice. This is her second time coming through. As Burdick hits it right to Jenkins, gets right past her. You can see it here, just right past that right shoulder. Burdick able to get to first base, and how huge to be able to get that leadoff runner on here with no outs.
Error charge to Jenkins at third. Back to the top of the order in Van Zee. She's doubled twice tonight. Out of play.
And that's Madison Preston warming up for Alabama. This game gets dicey, runners on base. Choice again to save get-ins and go for Preston in this scenario. She's got to be ready to jump in.
1-1. 166 pitches now for Osorio.
We see Van Zee asking for time here. She almost checked her swing there on that high pitch, and sometimes with hitters, you just need to reset your own mind, call time and say, oh, I didn't see that one correctly. Let me get back into that box. That's why Taylor Van Zee is so good.
Shockingly, it ends with a big laugh and smile for Van Zee, which is usually the case.
I'd imagine Van Zee is one of those players that's a coach's dream for Coach Heather Tarr. Don't have much bad to say in those scenarios. It's a lot to enjoy.
Lots of energy, vocal leader for this Washington team. Done it with her bat here tonight, 2 for 3. Doubled in the first, struck out in the third, walked in the fifth, doubled and scored in the seventh. Chant is "Let's go Taylor," and it's up and away.
Well, this is a player for Washington that not only the team, but the fans rally around her, what she's capable of doing, how she leads. She's not just leading the athletes in the dugout, she leads these fans, and they get excited around her because they know what she's capable of doing and how successful she's been.
3-1. Called strike, runner takes second. Stolen base number 21 this season for Kelly Burdick.
And this not a great situation to be in if you're Alabama. Burdick heads up as she's going on the pitch. Does not leave early, gets there no problem. Runner in scoring position, you got Van Zee and Bates up. And all they have to do is find a way to advance her. 2 shots to do it, 3 outs to make it happen as well.
Osorio and Dykes making sure of this 3-2 pitch. Dykes communicating with the dugout, trying to get everybody on the same page here. 3-2. Ground ball up the middle, base hit. Burdick around third. Here comes the throw. She is safe. And Washington has come from behind to win game 1 in Seattle.
Look at the excitement, a battle until the end. No one better than Taylor Van Zee, the leader on your team, to step up and come through with a timely hit to score Burdick from second base. You could not ask for more if you are a Washington fan than to see your team fight and come out with the win.
And a senior coming through in the end with the game-winning hit. Taylor Van Zee, a 3-hit night. Couple of doubles, a single. The game winner comes in the bottom half of the 9th inning. The teams line up to shake hands. Game 1 goes to Washington, 3-2 in 9 as we take a look at tonight's Capital One rewarding performance. Taylor Van Zee, the walk-off hit, her 3rd hit of the night. She smiles when times are tough, but when it's time to celebrate a super regional win, I don't think that smile can get any wider. The stolen base by Burdick. Washington, a team that uses speed and defense. The stolen base was key, error-free softball, and they win it. Game 2 is coming up tomorrow here, 7 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2. For Jenny Ritter, I'm Eric Free. So long from Seattle, now on to Courtney Lyle in Tempe. Took 9 innings in Seattle, but game 1 went to the hosts. Washington down 2-0 in the 7th. They got 2 to tie, and then they get a run in the 9th to win it over Alabama. Let's take you through what happened here in Seattle in game 1 of this best-of-3 series. A good start for Alabama, Jenny Ritter. 2-run double for Sydney Booker, and Alabama had a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, and Booker really just did a great job driving that pitch, put her team ahead, and really a lead that they could keep behind Osorio, who've been throwing well.
But then in the 7th inning, Sis Bates came through. 3 hits in the inning for Washington. Bates brought in the tying runs with that single to make it a 2-2 game. Taylor Van Zee had doubled in that inning. She scored, she was pumped up, and then she would be the one who delivered the game-winning hit in the 9th.
And what a timely hit, not even a very good pitch. She found a way to drive it into the outfield after Burdick stole second base and was able to score all the way from second, got herself in, game-winning run.
In the 9th inning, Taylor Van Zee delivered the game-winning hit. And Taylor joins us now. 3-hit night for you, Taylor. Before we talk about what happened in the 9th inning, the 7th inning had to happen before you got to extra innings. Down 2-0, it would seem a team would be tight, but it seemed you guys were as loose as you were all night. Is that the case with this Washington team, that you never quit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of in our blood, especially at this point in the season. You're not going to see us quit no matter what. We knew it, and obviously Bama's a great team, and there's some history between us, but we were ready to win every pitch. It didn't matter. Like, that pitch, we were going to win it. So we gave 100% what we had to that pitch.
All right, Taylor, let's talk about that pitch. You're in the bottom of the 9th. Burdick steals to get to second base, and you have the opportunity to win the game with a hit. Talk about the pitch you saw.
Yeah, I just was trying to give our team a chance, whether that was moving Kel over to third. She's the one that had to lead off on. That was huge. Stole second. She's incredibly fast. So just trying to get a pitch to do something with. I knew if I didn't, Sis or Julia or anyone on the team would do it. So just trying to commit myself to that pitch, and it ended up happening for us tonight.
Taylor, congratulations on the Game 1 win. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
So a victory for Washington here over Alabama. Washington 1 win away from the Women's College World Series. Oklahoma and Arkansas, winner of that series in Norman, will face the winner of this series. 7 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday, a must-win situation for Alabama. Washington will have a chance to head on to Oklahoma City after Washington's 3-2 win Friday.